Welcome back to Amador Live. We're going to talk a little bit about the CASA program. Please introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm Lori Halvorson, and I'm the CASA director.
I'm John Stettler, the program coordinator.
And that's all under the heading of Nexus Family Services?
Right, Youth and Family Services.
So let's talk about that first. Nexus Youth and Family Services, where is that located, how is it provided, and what do you do?
Okay. Well, we're located on Broadway Street, 101 Broadway, right across from the CHP office. And we're a newly formed agency. There are 3 of us that are involved as the principals of the agency, and we wanted to focus more on youth and family services in Amador County specifically. So we started the agency August 1st was our opening date.
Great,
Yes, and we provide. We run the community centers in Pine Grove, Ione, and Upcountry. And then we also do youth services in the schools, drug and alcohol prevention services. The CASA program is under Nexus. We do the Promotora, which is for Spanish-speaking families in the community, health services for Spanish-speaking in the community. And we really wanted to look at what could we do to bring more programs and things that were beneficial to kids and families in our county. So that's the reason we started.
That's fabulous. That sounds like a big job too.
Yeah, no, it's been rewarding, but lots of hard work. But that's okay.
Especially in the establishment stage, where you're actually creating, protocol for each of the different programs, and I'm sure that takes quite a bit of effort and time.
Well, and we're fortunate because we work with the Amador Community Foundation. They're our fiscal sponsor as we're getting our 501c3 in place, and they've just been fabulous to work with. Just really, really, Kathleen and Pat and everyone on the board's been so supportive and just really understanding, I think, our mission and why we're doing what we're doing. So.
And it sounds like it's so needed in our community. John, go ahead, introduce yourself and what you're doing. And
well, as the program coordinator for the CASA program, I do the training and the supervision of the volunteers. The program relies on trained volunteers to work with kids who are going through the dependency system. It's a court-generated program. It's established by the courts. It's supported by the courts, and all of our referrals come from the courts. So it's a very, very close relationship, and it's a wonderful program to be involved in. What it does is, with those trained volunteers, we assign them to one of the kids who's going through dependency court, so that they have one person who is stable, reliable, consistent, somebody that they can go to no matter what the issue is, whether they're still in their own home, they're in a foster home, if they're in personal crisis, if they're having learning problems, if they're having health problems and behavior problems, any of the things that are going on that they need somebody to be their go-to person. In their state of disruption and turmoil, they really need to be able to focus on somebody that's the go-to person, and that's what our volunteers provide.
so, a question for you: how does the volunteer differ from like a social worker that would check in on these children?
Well, number one, the big difference is that they have our volunteers have a caseload of 1.
Ah, got it.
So if the kid says, "I'd like to talk to you," they only have one child to be responding to. The second thing that I think is a subtle difference, but I think it's a difference, is that the social worker has multiple responsibilities. They have a responsibility to help the parents get themselves together so that their children can be home in a safe and nurturing environment. So they have the families, the parents, the relatives, all the people who are involved, including the children, that they're trying to make sure that services are delivered, that transportation is arranged, that all the myriad of details are taken care of. Our volunteers have a client of 1. So they have a caseload of multiple families. Our volunteers have a caseload of 1 child. And I think that is a difference that allows us to be a compatible, supportive part of the process, not a replacement for social workers.
And just being that one contact, if, say I'm a volunteer and I'm in the CASA program and the phone rings and I see the phone call come in, I'm going to put that as a priority. I'm not going to put it behind the other 10 messages that were already left. So your one volunteer really is key in that child's life.
And what we're training, part of our training is that instill in them the idea that they are playing a key and pivotal role, and they're interfacing with all the other agencies. They're really in a very empowered position to do important things with kids. And so, number one, they have to have the time to be able to spend with them. And some of the cases we don't require a lot of time, so don't think that we're talking about a full-time job for a volunteer. We assign based on how much time you have. Some have more time, some have less time. The other thing they have to do is they really have to have a feeling for kids. They really have to...
The heart for kids has to be there.
Have a heart for kids. And be able to work their way through all those problems and all the emotional issues and all the rest of it that come with the turmoil of families in crisis. And once they do that, they find out that working with kids is a life-changing experience.
It is.
For them and the kids both.
And not only, for people who don't have children, but, for people that do have children, every case is going to be different. It's probably going to be a much different experience than the kids that you raised on your own. What are you looking for in a volunteer? What's the criteria?
We just said it. They have to care about kids, and they have to have a little bit of time.
So it's only two things.
That's the only two things. We'll provide the training. We'll introduce them to the whole process. We have a formal training program. We'll give them all the equipment they need. We'll give them all the support they need. All they have to do is
be available and show up.
Give me a call.
Tell us about the training program. I'm curious to know what's involved in that.
We have a manual that is supported by the national organization and the state organization, so we have a formal curriculum. And it is now 15 chapters long of different subjects, all the way from the court process to the use of psychotropic medications and all kinds of subjects in between. And in addition to that, then, I've supplemented material so that they have a wealth of information on the whole broad spectrum of everything they need to know. And the training gives them the beginning information to go out and do the work. The manual becomes a reference material then that they can go back and refer to, and we can then add additional training, and we provide training every month on specific topics that we need additional information. If they're curious about some specific aspect, we bring in a speaker so that they continue to get enrichment in their skill set.
Right. Ongoing training. And how much time is involved? If somebody's interested in volunteering, what's to be expected of them?
If they can give me 8 hours a month, we're in good shape. If they have a little less, I have cases that don't take quite that much. But I have volunteers that spend 20 and 30, 40 hours a month working cases. And some of the volunteers have that time, and they can devote that time, and it's a perfect match. Not everybody needs that. All we need is about 5 to 8 hours a month, 10, 12 hours a month, somewhere in that range. We come to the meetings once a month, and you're home free.
Great. So tell the viewers out here how they can get a hold of you if they're interested.
Call the Nexus office, 257-1980. 1980. 1980.
Great. We're about
It's a great year.
Yeah, 1980 is a great year. Anything else you'd like to add, Lori?
No, John does a fabulous job, and the training's interactive and fun, and so yeah, we'd love to have someone join us.
Thanks for being on the show. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Check out our new